Breaking news into CBS Sports HQ, Caitlin Clark took to social media to announce that her season is over. Clark hasn't played since July 15th after suffering a groin injury. She was limited to just 13 games this season. The Fever are 13-15 without her this year and just a game and a half ahead of the Sparks for that final playoff spot.
All right, let's just say it. Things in the WNBA are spiraling into full-blown panic. Fans aren't just frustrated anymore. They're downright furious. After yet another painful groin injury sidelined Caitlin Clark, some of the very same fans who once packed arenas are now openly suggesting she should pack her bags and take her talents overseas. Yes, you heard that correctly. The same player who brought energy, excitement, and sold out crowds is now facing calls to leave the league entirely. So here's the million-dollar question. Is the lure of Europe starting to outweigh the WNBA? And more importantly, should Caitlin actually consider making that move?
The WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance would drop once they announce that she's out, which is also so ironic that they announced it the day that football season starts. Anyway, this is not only a huge blow for the Fever, but also for the entire WNBA. Caitlin was out with an injury back in June. Viewership dropped over 50% across the league. That's the kind of effect that she has on things, and it seems like from her post and how they announced it, Caitlin was the one that was trying so hard to get back on the court. She has traveled to every single away game. She's always meeting with fans, taking photos, signing autographs, doing all of the things because she knows how many people come out specifically to see her. But I'm really interested to see what viewership and attendance looks like now that it's official that she's done. The hope is gone. Sending my best to Caitlin. I have no doubts that she will be back stronger than ever.
Alright, let me break this down because the situation is absolutely insane. Caitlin Clark, the player who sells out arenas, skyrockets TV ratings, and keeps entire franchises afloat, has now become the accidental face of a movement the WNBA seems terrified of. Fans aren't just talking, they're openly telling her to pack her bags and take her talents to Europe. And this isn't just some fringe internet chatter, it's getting serious. Why Europe? Because that's where the real money is. That's where players are treated like royalty. First-class flights, multi-million-dollar contracts, not the cramped seats and modest paychecks the WNBA often hands out. Think about it. Players in Russia, Turkey, Italy can earn in a single overseas season what they might never make in 5 years back home. Let's be clear, Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA to survive. The WNBA, however, desperately needs her. And now, with this latest groin injury sidelining her, fans are starting to see the bigger picture. Maybe it's time she puts her body, her career, and her future first, and considers heading overseas.
The morning as well, because Caitlin Clark fans, I want to say Fever fans, but at this point, so many of you, including myself, has lost faith in everybody involved in leadership and in management and coaching. We've just sort of I got to tell you, I don't have any more real good things to say about the Fever organization as of now, because I will contend that they have known this was going to happen.
Now, let's talk about this groin injury, because this is where the frustration hits a whole new level. The Fever's front office has handled the situation like an absolute circus. One day it's day-to-day, the next it's making progress, then light practice, and suddenly, bam, she's out for the entire season. You're probably thinking, wait, what? And you wouldn't be wrong. Fans aren't blind. They saw Caitlin moving through drills and running perfectly fine in shoot-arounds, yet the official updates were always vague and wishy-washy. That's exactly why people are losing it. It's not just the injury, it's the misleading information. Transparency from this franchise? Practically non-existent. The front office kept hyping her return, selling tickets, and stringing fans along, only to finally confirm what everyone suspected: she's not coming back this season. And now the question hangs in the air: why should Caitlin Clark trust her career to an organization that clearly doesn't value honesty, or more importantly, her long-term health?
She will miss the remainder of the W season. Clark hasn't played since July 15th, dealing with a groin injury. SA, your reaction to Caitlin being shut down?
Let's find out what the rest of the WNBA is going to do in terms of popularity. You've been saying up and down that, whether tacitly or directly, that, she's getting too much shine, even though we respect and what have you. We deserve our shine. Well, now's a perfect opportunity for you to prove that. If not, acknowledge her impact on the financial aspects that she brings to the table, adopt the mentality that a rising tide lifts all boats, and learn to have an elevated level of appreciation for what she has brought to the game, and assist her in making the league even.
Now, just imagine this for a moment. Caitlin Clark absolutely dominating in Spain, Italy, or Turkey. Arenas packed to the brim with thousands of screaming fans who treat women's basketball like the elite sport it truly is. No more ridiculous referees letting her get hacked on every possession. No more being forced to carry an entire roster of role players who crumble under pressure. And definitely no more teammates downplaying her injuries while quietly relying on her name to sell tickets. In Europe, Caitlin wouldn't just be a star, she'd be the undisputed centerpiece, paid exactly for the superstar she is, treated like the global icon she's become, and fiercely protected by a system that actually respects and values her talent. This is exactly why fans are shouting, "Leave, get out of there." They're saying, don't waste another precious year in a league that won't protect you. And honestly, it's really hard to argue with that logic.
That the Indiana Fever are just now realizing that, hey, she's done for the year. I think this has been done. I told you guys, I put out a video 2 weeks ago saying, man, she's done. She's done. Once they put out the article, when she was supposed to return versus the Minnesota Lynx, supposedly, and then the Scott Agneses and all them start talking about she suffered a bone bruise in Phoenix, I told y'all.
Let's just be honest, the WNBA is in full-blown panic mode right now. Without Caitlin Clark, half of the casual fans who recently tuned in would vanish overnight. Those massive TV deals, signed because of her, attendance spikes, her, social media clips going viral, all thanks to Caitlin. Her groin injury isn't just a personal setback, it's an economic earthquake for the entire league. And the mere thought of her leaving for Europe, that's the nightmare scenario. If fans keep pushing for it, and if she even hints at considering it, the WNBA loses all leverage instantly. But this isn't just about one injury, it's about a disturbing pattern of how Caitlin has been treated from day one. Constant hard fouls, shockingly ignored whistles, cheap shots from players who openly admit they were targeting her. Remember the Sophie Cunningham elbow, the Lexi Hull hits, and the Bria Hartley nonsense. And where was the league during all this? Silent. The commissioner? Nowhere in sight. Instead of protecting the player who fills arenas and drives ratings, the league let her get battered night after night. Now, with a groin injury sidelining her, fans are finally saying enough. If the WNBA won't protect her, maybe Europe will. And the fan response? It's deafening. Social media is flooded with messages screaming, "Go to Europe, Caitlin. Save your career. Don't waste another year here." Some of these posts are even coming from Fever fans, people who've supported this franchise through thick and thin, finally realizing the only reason they tuned in was Caitlin, and they don't want to see her stuck in a league that clearly doesn't care. When fans move the conversation like this, it's powerful. Just weeks ago, nobody would have imagined Caitlin Clark moving to Europe being a trending topic, but here we are. Then there's the money. Overseas, Caitlin could realistically earn anywhere from $1 million to $5 million, depending on contracts, endorsements, and appearances. In the WNBA, base salary caps under $120,000, maybe a little more with bonuses. Yes, she already makes millions from Nike, Gatorade, Wilson, and Panini, but the point is clear. She doesn't need the WNBA check. She could go overseas, earn even more, and keep her endorsement empire thriving. The WNBA loses. Caitlin doesn't. The locker room dynamics make it even worse. Caitlin hasn't always gotten a warm welcome from league veterans. From shady quotes to subtle digs, it's obvious some some players resent the spotlight she brings. In Europe, she'd be embraced. She'd elevate the entire league's visibility instead of being treated like a threat. And let's not forget, groin injuries aren't something you just push through. They linger and worsen if mismanaged. WNBA medical staff, often under-resourced, European clubs, they invest heavily in top-tier trainers and medical teams because they know their stars are their biggest assets. World-class rehab overseas might actually be the smartest long-term move for Caitlyn's career. For the WNBA, this is a PR nightmare waiting to happen. Imagine the headlines: Caitlyn Clark leaves WNBA for Europe. That alone could undo years of branding the league as the premier destination for women's basketball, and fans wouldn't blame her. They'd cheer her on, live streaming her games at 3 a.m. That's how loyal her audience is. These aren't just WNBA fans, they're Caitlyn Clark fans, and that's the core issue. The ripple effects of Caitlyn Clark's groin injury are hitting harder than anyone expected, and it's not just Fever fans, or even WNBA fans, talking anymore. This conversation has exploded into mainstream sports shows, podcasts, and even international outlets. People are openly debating whether Caitlyn Clark should pack her bags and head overseas because the WNBA clearly isn't providing the environment she deserves. This isn't just idle chatter, it's serious pressure, the kind that can completely alter a career. Think about it. When Caitlyn steps on the court, arenas sell out. When she doesn't play, fans still scan their tickets just to see her on the bench. When she's injured, social media erupts with updates and rumors. No player in years has had this kind of gravitational pull, yet the league and her own team have consistently failed at the one thing that truly matters: protecting their investment. And that's why fans feel completely betrayed. They're not urging her to move to Europe because they want her gone. They want her safe, valued, and genuinely supported. And frankly, it's hard to argue with that logic. Look at how European leagues treat stars. In Turkey, players like Diana Taurasi and Brianna Stewart are treated like celebrities. In Russia, players earn more than NBA benchwarmers. In Italy and Spain, women's basketball is a major sport with massive followings. Over there, Caitlyn wouldn't be questioned or targeted. She'd be celebrated. Instead of dodging sly comments from teammates or cheap fouls from opponents, she'd be the golden ticket. Fans would line up for miles just to see her warm up. This groin injury only amplifies the argument. It's not just about money, it's about trust. The Fever told fans she was day to day, then week to week, then making progress, and suddenly she's done for the season. Do they really think fans can't see through that? People watched her sprinting in warm-ups. They know the truth. The lack of transparency has shattered trust, and once trust is gone, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. Now fans are pointing to Europe, not as a distant dream, but as a real solution. Picture this nightmare scenario for the WNBA. Caitlyn signs with a European powerhouse in 2026. ESPN highlights show her draining threes in a Turkish jersey in front of 15,000 screaming fans. Social media clips go viral worldwide. Brands follow her overseas because she's still the biggest draw. Meanwhile, WNBA ratings dip because the one player keeping casual interest alive is gone. That's the nightmare the league is terrified of. Comment sections are already filled with fans saying, "Why risk it here?" Or "Europe would actually treat her like the star she is." These aren't trolls, they're real supporters paying for jerseys, tickets, and streaming packages. When your own paying customers are telling your star to leave, that's not just a crisis, it's a catastrophic failure, and the WNBA has no one to blame but itself. Caitlyn's groin injury might go down as the ultimate tipping point. Fans now have a rock-solid reason to push the Europe narrative harder than ever. They point to the lack of care, the vague updates, the relentless hard fouls, and the zero protection. Staying in the WNBA is being framed as a risk to her long-term health, and for the first time, people are actually listening. Former players, analysts, and even international journalists are weighing in. This isn't just a hot take anymore. It's a legitimate, undeniable conversation. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The WNBA's growth strategy over the past 2 years has been built almost entirely around Caitlyn Clark. She's been the centerpiece, driving TV deals, filling arenas, creating hype for expansion, and keeping fan interest alive. Now imagine losing her. The league doesn't have another Caitlyn waiting in the wings. Angel Reese has her fans, sure, but her reach isn't even in the same league. Paige Bueckers is still in college. Juju Watkins has potential, but she's not Caitlyn Clark. Remove Clark, and the WNBA risks sliding back into the same old pattern. Sparse coverage, leverage, empty seats, and casual indifference. Here's the ultimate irony. European leagues don't need Caitlin Clark to survive. They'd welcome her, yes, but they're already stable. The WNBA, on the other hand, is almost completely dependent on her. That power imbalance is exactly why fans are shouting, "Go to Europe." They know Caitlin has options. She's not trapped. She doesn't need a WNBA paycheck to thrive. She could leave tomorrow and still be one of the most marketable athletes in the world. That groin injury, it's not just a physical setback, it's leverage. And in sports, leverage is everything. Look at players like LeBron James, Tom Brady, or Serena Williams. They all understood it. Caitlin Clark is now in that category. She has the power to shape her career and potentially the league's future. One hint at Europe and sponsors and networks would instantly react. Stay silent and fans will keep pushing the narrative. Either way, the WNBA is in a corner, and it's all because they failed to protect the player they couldn't afford to lose. The bigger question everyone is asking, would Caitlin actually make the move? Leave the WNBA for Europe? She's loyal to her fans and knows her platform is huge in the US, but loyalty only stretches so far when your body is on the line. Fans are reminding her that loyalty is a two-way street. If the league won't protect her, why should she stay? Yes, the groin injury might heal. She'll come back stronger. But the damage isn't just physical, it's reputational. The Fever organization and WNBA leadership have shown they either can't or won't be transparent. That won't be forgotten overnight, and it won't stop fans from asking the hard question, is Caitlin Clark's future really in this league, or is Europe already calling her name? And if she did leave, don't fool yourself. The fans would follow. They'd stream games at 3 a.m., buy jerseys from overseas teams, travel to see her live. This isn't just the WNBA's fan base, it's Caitlin Clark's fan base. And that's what makes this situation so dangerous for the league. They don't own her popularity, they're just borrowing it, and borrowed attention always runs out. The panic is real. The groin injury was just the spark. Now the fire is spreading. Fans want Caitlin in Europe. The WNBA is desperate to keep her. And Caitlin, she holds all the cards. Her next move could change the sport forever. Europe or the WNBA? That's the question. And with every passing day, Europe looks more appealing. Fans are demanding change, and they are louder than ever. Whether the WNBA listens, that's another story. So here's my question to you. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you risk another season in the WNBA or take the money, the respect, and the safety Europe offers? The debate is heating up. The clock is ticking and the world is watching. If you're fired up about this saga, drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe, and keep notifications on. Every twist in the Caitlin Clark story, we'll cover it.